Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brett Keane, and today we're going to talk about the top 10 common fallacies of atheism. That when dealing with an atheist is like dealing with a mental midget who has intellectual stunted growth. Ad hominem. When someone attacks the person instead of the argument. When dealing with an atheist is like dealing with a mental midget who has intellectual stunted growth. In simplistic terms, whenever you're trying to have a debate about science or theology or history, geography, archaeology, whatever the case might be, and the other individual feels like they're trying to push an agenda, an atheist is a mental midget who has intellectual stunted growth, and they feel like they're failing at it miserably. An atheist is a mental midget becoming insecure, non-confident within their own debate structure, beliefs, views, ideologies, and then what they do is they start insulting you. A mental midget trying to get personal, mental midget trying to talk about your life or the way you look or the way you sound as opposed to your argument and debate. Mental midget. This is one of the main issues with atheists. An atheist is a mental midget. We have discovered that in many different forums, whether on television, whether on a podcast, whether within a show, it always resorts to personal attacks and nasty stuff. An atheist is a mental midget. Appeal to ignorance. When a claim is considered true because it hasn't been disproven, and also vice versa proven. Which I don't recall one time in our entire human history where someone put a bunch of slime pieces and chemicals into a bag, mixed it up for several thousand years, and then opened it, and out came some kind of strange living creature from it. The atheist will state, well, I don't see any evidence or information to prove the existence of God, therefore he does not exist. Which I don't recall one time in our entire human history. Or, because I don't like some of the passages in the Bible, or I don't agree with them, or it just seems by my own moral basis, while the atheist doesn't have any moral basis, that this is not right or good to do, then this must mean that particular figure A must not exist. Basically what they're doing is they're taking the examples or the stories that you have given them or the information, and then they exaggerate it to the point where it sounds almost like science fiction. Loaded question. This is one of the favorited weapons that atheists like to use on people of religion and theology. When a question contains a presumption of guilt. And the other question I have too is if you're nothing but a chemical, which in my logic challenge I ask, if you are a chemical, can chemicals reason? Non sequitur. I've got a couple examples here so you can understand the point of it. It's almost like that of a guilt trip, really, while the atheist doesn't have any moral basis. Have you ever heard an atheist, whenever he's standing there with a Christian, and he says to the Christian, well, if you don't do this and you don't do that, then you must not be a good Christian. While the atheist doesn't have any moral basis. You're not doing what your God claims for you to do. Well, first of all, the atheist doesn't have any moral basis, and they have no right to judge, especially whenever they think that they are nothing but chemicals that are responding to stimulus or the environment around them, no more than that of a squid or some kind of evolved worm, according to them. Whenever they sit there and say that you can't be this or you can't do that, or unless you accept my perception or interpretation of the Bible, then you must not be well-read, educated, and so on, which usually leads into ad hominems. An atheist is a mental midget Red herring. They use what is referred to as a shock and awe effect, no more than that of the squid or some kind of evolved worm, according to them, where they try to throw hardcore information at you or try to shock you with imagery or gore, which I don't recall one time in our entire human history where someone put a bunch of slime pieces and chemicals into a bag, mixed it up for several thousand years, and then opened it, and out came some kind of strange living creature from it, and then try to represent the concept as being as this is what it is, and there's no difference anywhere else in the world kind of concept. While the atheist doesn't have any moral basis, especially whenever they think that they are nothing but chemicals. Anytime they find themselves getting defeated or beaten in an argument, they will try any way they can, whether it be something mild or to the extreme, to take you away from the original argument that was put forth, so they don't have to accept their defeat and admit it. Which I don't recall one time in our entire human history where someone put a bunch of slime pieces and chemicals into a bag, mixed it up for several thousand years, and then opened it, and out came some kind of strange living creature from it. The straw man is probably up there with some of the top methods that atheists like to use in arguments. It almost is to the point whenever you're listening to an atheist that they kind of remind me sometimes of the straw man in The Wizard of Oz. Do you remember what his problem was? His issue was he didn't have a brain. An atheist is a mental midget, and he was seeking a brain and was almost set on fire by a wicked witch and went on his way. A straw man is something that atheists use all the time. I'll give you an example. A Christian might be talking about Genesis and speak up about Adam and Eve and how God used the elements of the earth in order to create man. Now, most people, whether you're a scientist or not, already agree that they believe that somehow, through naturalistic ways or through the elements of the earth, that's how man was created. That is how life itself came to be, from the elements of the earth, whether it be through the sea or through the land or through both, land within the water. But the atheist may say something like this: so let me get this straight. You believe that God blew his nose into some dirt and chanted some magical words and yada 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 and flapped his fairy wings, causing Harry Potter dust to fall all over the dead Pokemon characters, and then woo woo, it all just started and happened. Which I don't recall one time in our entire human history where someone put a bunch of slime pieces and chemicals into a bag, mixed it up for several thousand years, and then opened it, and out came some kind of strange living creature from it, especially whenever they think that they are nothing but chemicals. Basically what they're doing is they're taking the examples or the stories that you have given them or the information, and then they exaggerate it to the point where it sounds almost like science fiction. Their consciousness that they claim is based on nothing more than Windex, juices, and many compounds of slime. The point of this, of course, is to use a strategy to get you off of the topic, try to make it seem as though what you're saying is retarded or stupid. They also believe that they evolved from goldfish after being slime back in the times of biogenesis. Even though what you are saying actually goes along with science, history, and whatever information that you're presenting with resources, facts, and evidence behind it. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brett Keane, with a 5-year-old who didn't get his little red whistle on Christmas. About the top 10 common fallacies of